All right, so we're into up to lesson 15, and I know I skipped lesson 14. Lesson 14 was a review lesson, so I skipped it and moved right on to 15. And in 15, we get to what they call part to part ratios, which means that you have like, oh, uh, 7 girls to 10 boys in a room. They're each a part of the whole room, so there's no whole involved. So you're talking about the part to part, and so we worked with it the other day in our previous lesson, like lesson 12, about if there's 3 girls, 1 boy in the room. If there's 15 girls, and how many boys would there be? So that's what they talk about part to part ratios. So once again, we're gonna this is the anchor problems page, so you don't have this page to you available to you. So just kind of follow along with what I'm doing, and we're gonna these problems will really portray very well with your homework. So make sure you're paying attention to each part of this, and you can go back and watch this over again if you need help with it. All right. So number one, it says Shanna and Mel are using ribbon to decorate a project in their art class. The length of Shayna's ribbon to the length of Mel's ribbon is 7:3. So I remember there's different ways to write this, right? We could say that we could write it as a fraction. All right. So question A says name 2 possible lengths of Shanna's and Mel's ribbons. So it doesn't mean it's like necessarily 7 inches to 3 inches. It just means that the ratio is 7:3. So if I double that, each of them, I could say that it's 14:6, right? And we'll say they're inches, centimeters, whatever. Another possible, if I triple that, then 7 times, we'll quadruple. We'll say 7 times 4 is 28. All right, 3 times 4 is 12. So we could say it's 28 to 12. All right, so those are 2 possible lengths. All right, B says draw a tape diagram. Now, a tape diagram we've worked with before, but I just don't think we've ever called it a tape diagram. A tape diagram is just nothing more than like a way to represent the ratio by drawing a picture. And we've drawn pictures with them before. So if I draw a picture right here, and that's a tape diagram, and we're going to split that up in a second. And then we have 7, we have 1 that's 3. So let me explain a little bit more what we're talking about with these tape diagrams. Okay, so they kind of look like rectangles. They go in a straight line like a piece of tape, right? That's why they call them tape diagrams. All right, so we're going to say this is Shayna. I think that's how you pronounce it. And then this would be Mel. And we're going to put in some lines now. So we're going to split Mel's into 3 parts. And we're going to try to split Shayna's into 7. And I didn't split it very well, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parts, and there's 3 parts. So that shows our 7:3. So there's a tape diagram of it. All right. It says, what if each block in a tape diagram represents 1 inch? So if we did this, then each one would be 1. Okay. This is 1, that's 1. All right. That's 1, and so on. This is 1. All right. What are the lengths of the ribbons? All right. Well, then it would be 7 inches to 3 inches. Okay. So there's question C. All right. Now let me get rid of my 1s here because we're going to move on to something else for the next question. All right. And then it says, what if each block in a tape diagram represents 2 yards? What are the lengths of the ribbon? So we're going to say now each one represents 2 yards. I'm just going to put a 2. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So remember, it's just a ratio of 7:3. It doesn't mean it's exactly that each one is 1. So if that's the case, okay, what is the length of each one? So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. It'd be 14 yards to 6 yards. All right. And then E, could Shanna's ribbon be 21 inches and sorry about that. All right. So 21 to 9. Is that possible? So basically what they're asking is it equal to 7 to 3? Are these ratios equal to that? So remember, they're equal if we can multiply them both by the same. So we know that 7 times 3 is 21, and 3 times 3, okay, is 9. So therefore, could they be? So we're going to say this is a yes, and our why or why not would be our work down here for that. All right, so this is a tape diagram. Okay, it's a way to represent the ratio in order. Okay, number 2, it says Mason and Laney ran laps to train for the long distance running team. The ratio of the number of laps Mason ran to the number of laps Laney ran was 2 to 3. It says if Mason ran 4 miles, how far did Laney run? Draw a tape diagram. So once again, I'm going to put a couple rectangles in here to make it look like tape. One is going to be 2, and the other one's going to be 3, so I'm going to make it a little bit longer. And I'll put in some lines in here. So this will be 2, so I can split this in half. This one's going to be 3. And one is Mason. I need to label them. The other one is Laney. All right, and you're going to have a lot of questions like this in your homework. So if Mason ran 4 miles, okay, so I know that there's 2 parts here. Okay, he ran 4, so I got to divide that by 2 to fit him in there, which each block is going to be 2 miles. So he ran 2 here, 2 here. Well, if that's the case, then these are also all equal to 2. 2, 2, 2, and 2. So this is all question A, right? How far did Laney ran? Well, if Mason ran 4, then Laney ran 6 miles. So I'm going to say 6 miles. All right. So the reason why they call it a part to a part is because this is a part of, and we're not talking about a whole thing. All right. Question B, let's do down here so we don't get it mixed up. It says if Laney ran 930 meters. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase my 2s I had here from question A. All right, so here's the key. We have to figure out how much is going to go in each box, okay? It says Laney ran a total of 930 meters, but we got to split it up into 3 parts. So we're going to go 930. We got to divide that by 3. Because Laney has 3 blocks here. So if I divide that, it's going to be 310. So each one is going to be 310. Now, once you find that out, remember it's going to be the same thing for Mason. Mason's also going to have 310 in each of his blocks. So they want to know how far did Mason ran. Well, it's going to be 310 times 2, which would be 620. And the label is meters. So that's just a M. Notice miles is MI, meters is just an M. All right. So once again, if you know how much each person, in this case, ran, then you got to split it up into what would fit in there. So Mason ran 4 miles. He has 2 blocks. You got to divide it by 2. Laney ran, in a separate problem, Laney ran 930. All right. And you have to divide it by 3 in order to fit it in there. And there's 310 in each block. Now for your homework, all right, notice you have to do numbers 1, 3, 4, and 6. So I put a little note here. This is a tape diagram. All right. They use red paint, the yellow paint. They want you to write a ratio statement. Okay, a statement, all right, like 4 eggs to 6 cups of batter, right? Then you have to write an equivalent one, so maybe like doubling the ratio or tripling the ratio, all right? That's what they mean by equivalent one. All right, number 3. We're talking about running. Lainey and Autumn are running around the track at school. So this is very similar to one I just did over on number 2 of ratio 3 to 5. Okay. You got to use a tape diagram. Autumn ran 20. So you got to break it down to how many would go in each block. And a separate problem, Lainey ran 18. All right. Autumn ran 500. So you got to break it down to fit how many would fit in each block. Right. Use those tape diagrams for each one. Number 4, they give you a tape diagram. All right. And then you have to answer these couple questions down here, right? Both A and B. Says Patty says the equivalent ratio would be 2 to 5. Could that be true? And then you explain why. And then same thing, B was just like our other one. If you have 30 sodas, so literally you're going to put a 30 here, you got to figure out how many iced coffees there would be. And then you don't have to do number 5. Number 6, very similar. Lisa goes out to the gym 5 out of 7 days, draw a tape diagram for gym days and then total days of the week, and use that to complete all these other questions on B and C. All right. Best of luck with you on those. Refer back to these anchor problem questions that I use right here to help you out. Watch this video over a couple times if you need to. And good luck to you. If you need any help, you need to let me know.